Hey everybody, welcome back to the RJR Football channel on YouTube. My name's Daniel Harms. Before we get to this rant video today, because getting through this week, I was actually in a pretty good mood, and then I'm going through Twitter earlier yesterday and today, and I'm just thinking about some things. And all it takes really is 10 minutes on Twitter to get you fired up about something, and it doesn't take much for me to get into that mood. So I want to start by saying that these these videos have been a lot of fun for me, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback in terms of you guys enjoying you know the nature of it. You're getting some laughs here and there, so I'm glad I can provide that for you guys. And the one thing that I'm going to start off this video with is look, I had someone mention the whole Jamaal Charles versus Priest Holmes thing, and guys, Priest Holmes had one of the best offensive lines in NFL history. He had one of the greatest back-to-back seasons ever, not just in terms of fantasy football, but in the history of the NFL with production. He was great. He was he was phenomenal. Jamaal Charles blows him out of the water with everything that he can do physically, mentally. It's all that he did it with terrible offensive lines, with the ability to just manipulate the game at such a high level as a running back. We don't see all that often. Obviously, his injuries destroyed the rest of his career, because I think he would have been one of the all-time great running backs had he stayed healthy and gotten some of this offensive line play that the Chiefs started to see, when Andy Reid brought everybody over and they really started to get to that going. And then he started to get nicked up and get injured. But again, Jamaal Charles is will always be a special guy. Really, you can't really say much more. I know people talk about yards per carry, but you lead the entire NFL history in yards per carry. What do you think? Like, he's just that good. He was able to make something out of nothing at all times. That's how good he was, and how good he should have been able to have behalf of a career. And so, as much as it pains me to see that he might not get into the Hall of Fame because of injury shortened career, the guy is an all-timer. And as much as I love Priest Holmes, it's Jamaal Charles, and that's it. Like, the list is done. He's the best running back in Chiefs history, in my opinion. So we're going to stop it there, because if I get going this more on this, it's just going to really not end well for the rest of the video. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, my dog's going to go ahead and jump up on the couch, and I'm going to go right into my next topic, which is excuse me. Let's just pull it up here because I forgot. The big thing over the last probably month and a half has been the depth at wide receiver and defensive end. A lot of fans are really kind of upset because they don't see like a huge noticeable guy as the number two. For example, opposite of Frank Clark, who's going to be the starter? Opposite of Tyreek Hill, who's going to be the guy that defenses still have to worry about? And I'm here to tell you, I don't care. I don't care. The Chiefs, one, had multiple opportunities on day two. They had multiple opportunities to go back up and trade up into the first round if they really wanted to. To trade up earlier, they had 2 second-round picks. They could have traded up in the second round, gotten an edge that they wanted. Guess what? They waited until day 3, like I said they were going to, because they do not care. Joshua Kano has got good athletic traits and tools to develop. Yes, that's why they drafted him on day 3. You have, I would imagine, Mike Dana and Taco Charlton as your starters, interchangeable starters as of right now. I think Dana is your early run defender guy, and Taco he comes in as the pass rush guy. So really, you combine those two players, you get one starter. And I think that those two players combined actually are very good. Now, if Taco can step up his run defense and really start doing exactly what he did last year, which is being the most efficient pass rusher for the Chiefs, he's going to be the other starter, opposite of Frank Clark. You got two guys who are huge, long guys that can set the edge and get after the quarterback, assuming Frank's healthy. Look, they got nothing really to worry about at defensive end. They've got more than enough depth behind them in terms of players they want to rotate. They don't need to have a huge 1-2. Okay. They don't. They have Chris Jones in the middle. They have Reed now in the middle as well. Like, they do not need a huge defensive end stalwart guy. Yes, it'd be nice to have say for example, Jalen Phillips, who went in the first round. Like, or Azeez Ojulari, who's probably going to, I think he's going to be a really good edge. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter to me, guys. Like I'm sorry to disappoint you. And when it comes to wide receiver, y'all know how I feel about Byron Pringle. He's very good. I think they really need to bring him along this year, get him more targets. And I know that people just kind of throw McCole Hardman to the side because he's been a little bit of a disappointment in terms of a second round pick. But he was not a finished product coming out of college. He wasn't. He was a gadget guy, and he was able to get downfield. So again, you missed that offseason. You have development issues and chemistry issues that have not been resolved. And I, for one, believe that he and Patrick Mahomes not only spent a lot of this offseason getting to that, working with that, but they will continue to do that throughout the offseason. And we're going to see a much more improved timing of McCole Hardman with synced up with Patrick Mahomes. That's kind of there. I love Cornell Powell. Obviously, Demarcus Robinson is a team guy that they love. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. But for me, it's Pringle and it's Hardman. They're going to be those two guys this year that have to step up. You're going to see some sprinkling in from Robinson, who's probably still going to be getting quite a bit of reps at wide receiver. You're going to see, Pringle, I think he should be the starting wide receiver opposite of Tyreek Hill. And that's just how it's going to be. They didn't care they had opportunities again to address defensive end and wide receiver in the first round. Okay. They brought in Austin Blythe, and they don't really care about, linebacker all that much. And typically, in my opinion, Nick Bolton is really a pick for next year because he's a Mike linebacker, and they have Anthony Hitchens. They decided they were going to draft a linebacker and a center in the second round, two guys who are going to be the future of their positions on the Chiefs roster. And they didn't care about wide receiver. There was multiple opportunities to draft guys that, that could have improved the talent there. And I think they did that with Cornell Powell. But we're going to have to see because, again, it's all about development and getting into the league. And defensive end and wide receiver for the Chiefs, they don't care. And they have not shown, one, a very good ability to draft wide receivers and defensive ends, for one. And two, they like a rotation. They like to have guys that they can come in and do multiple things. And I think that's what they're going to continue to do. And I still believe that Tim Ward is a guy they're very high on and a guy who makes this roster. And again, as part of that rotation, I still think that Tershawn Wharton is going to get more reps on the outside. I think they're fine. And personally, even if they didn't have Wharton going outside, I don't care. They're fine. They're going to have a rotation. They're going to get some production. The secondary is really going to make their bread and butter because Matthew is going to line everybody up. Snead is in his second year. If Baker's healthy enough to play, he's going to come in at some point this season, and I think he's going to be the starting corner opposite of Snead. I think they're going to be fine. They're going to be more than okay. They've done more than enough than what they've had in terms of being a top 12 to 10 in terms of scoring defense in the NFL. Yes, we want to see sacks. You still got Chris Jones, guys. You still have Frank Clark. Hopefully he can get that stomach issue underneath his, behind him, and he can start to produce more because he had opportunities down the stretch to really produce, and he started to produce down the stretch, and we saw that. So I'm hoping he can get his head right this year and his stomach right this year because he and Chris Jones are the 1-2. That's what they are. You don't need to have a 1-2 on the outside to be good in a defensive line. You don't. That's just how it is. So once again, I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but I don't care. I don't care about it. It's done. It's over with. And I told you guys before the draft started, they weren't going to draft a defensive end in the first 2 days. They didn't because they don't care. And they don't mind. They like being deep in defensive end and having guys that have talent and being able to do that thing. So yeah, again, I don't really care. Now, let's go to a topic that I think that a lot of people are very interested in, especially over the last week. Julio Jones has now obviously said that he wants out of Atlanta. He doesn't want to be there anymore. Doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, really, because I think that's what they're headed to. I know they've come out and said that they want to still be in a win-down mode. Matt Ryan's getting older, okay? I watch him play. He's still an accurate quarterback, but he's starting to look like Drew Brees in the sense that he's losing what mobility he had, and his arm strength is deteriorating. He can still throw the ball to all areas of the field, but you notice how it kind of just lingers up there a little bit longer than you like it to. That's how it starts to go for these kind of quarterbacks. Now, Drew Brees was able to do things a lot of quarterbacks can't do with him and Tom Brady, the most accurate guys. They get the ball out quick, that kind of thing. Matt Ryan likes to hold the ball football. He likes to throw it downfield. That doesn't really work for guys who start losing that arm velocity because then it starts hanging up there and you're going to get picked off. So Julio wants out. Now, I know that the Chiefs don't have a lot of room, but yes, you could really get some room with a Matthew extension, which we haven't heard anything about. But I'm sitting here going through Twitter, and I see a fan page. I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna name names, but I saw a fan post on the site on Twitter, so talking directly to Tyrann Matthew about how, if you get you can go get your contract extension. You can help bring Julio to Kansas City. What do you think Matthew has any control in this process? He can't just go into the front office and say, "Guess what? Hey, I want that contract." This is up to Brett Veach in the front office to get done. What goes through your head to at Tyrann Matthew and say, "Guess what? I think you should just go get your contract extension. You can bring Julio Jones to Kansas City and create enough room for him to be that two wide receiver opposite Tyreek Hill and be the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. You combine. No, 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 and no. Stop. It's just bait. You're just trying to get likes. That's all you're doing. We all know that Matthew can't just walk into the front office, say, hey, Brett, what's up? Yeah, I want to get that contract extension. I figure you got the paperwork done. I'm just going to come over here and sign it, right? I want to get this done to help you help the offense, because I know you care about the offense so much. Bring Julio. No, that's not how this works. This process does not work that way. Brett Veach has literally said before that they weren't going to start talking contract extensions or anything like that until June, July-ish. Okay. Now, Julio Jones can't be traded until post June 1st, because that's when they're going to save a lot of money with their dead cap with his contract. So Brett Veach has to initiate the contract talks. He has to initiate the trade process, just the phone call to the Falcons. Julio Jones has to want to come here. We haven't. I would imagine he would like to play with Patrick Mahomes. Who wouldn't want to? Let's be honest about that. So let's just assume that Kansas City is a place that he'd like to go. Take it out of context. Tyrann Matthew has zero ability to go into the front office and get his contract extension. Brett Veach has all the power in the situation. That's what they're going to do. And that's the only way it goes. You can't just talk to him on Twitter and say, "Hey, just go get it, man. Just go get it. We can do this now. We can bring Julio." No. You're done. It's over. That's not how it works. I guess just stop it. Just stop. We all know what you're doing. Doesn't work out that way. Now, for the last topic on the docket for today is, I think that we tend to expect a lot of day 3 prospects. I think Brett Veach has done a very good job of getting guys later in rounds that end up producing. Allegretti was a starter last year. Fenton played a good role in his first year. He's been a good slot role player for the Chiefs the last 2 years. They're able to get some production, and obviously Tershawn Wharton, an undrafted free agent guy that no one knew about. So, you really just kind of, obviously Mike Dana. I just keep naming names like Mike Dana, Wharton, all these guys. We kind of have high expectations from day 3 guys. What the Chiefs have done with their day 3 players over the last couple of years is not really, it's not heard of in terms of them coming in to a defense and being productive and having roles within that defense and getting some ball production or getting some sacks and things like that. Being a good contributor in your first or second year, it's not all that heard of for those day 3 guys. And I think that we need to temper some expectations, because when you watch Joshua Kaindoh play, we've mentioned before, they don't have a very good coaching staff at Florida State. They're not able to really develop players. So when you watch their defensive players, they're very raw. Like, they have instincts, they have tools, things that you can use to become a good player. And every once in a while, they put it all together and they make a good play. But that's not how it works in terms of just translation into the next level. So when you're watching a guy and you say, yeah, you see a lot of issues with the way he plays, there's a reason he was taken on day 3. Trey Smith is a different topic because of his medical issues. That's why he fell into the 6th round. But he's going to be a guy that can come in, and I think next year he's the starter at right guard. And I think that he's going to have a prolific career, assuming those blood clots stay away. Now, prolific maybe a little bit out of context in terms of what I really expect from him to be as a starting level. I would imagine Pro Bowler is what he's going, his trajectory. So again, day three guys aren't going to just come in and produce all the time. Every single time they draft somebody, I think that the Chiefs' three guys not named Trey Smith, with Kendo, Powell, and Gray, can be role players. I think that Kendo is going to work his way into the rotation and get some playing experience, much like Tim Ward did at the end of last year. Now, he was more of a UDFA guy. So I think we need to temper some expectations. It's getting a little out of control for Cornell Powell. I love him. I'm like the leader of the fan club because I was one of the only people to really get into his tape early on and evaluate it as a guy who's going to be drafted. We know that 6-game sample size is not much. Willie Gay had about the exact same amount of playing time when he was drafted in the second round. So we have to kind of chill ourselves out in terms of, Kendo looks like he's probably not going to get that second contract, or Kendo doesn't look like he's going to be able to be a player. This is all taken in the context of this is his college tape. Now you got to put him in the hands of competent NFL defensive, not only talent evaluators, but coaches. And I think that when you do that, kind of take off of K-Pass and just don't look at it as a box. Like, you can't have defensive guys or any kind of offensive play, any kind of player, especially in the third round, just put them in a box. Like, okay, Kendo is going to be K-Pass and not get a second contract. That's not how this stuff really works. And every player develops differently. I think Mike Dana is a very good example of that. I don't think many people had Mike Dana getting drafted. If the Chiefs draft had been in the 5th round and got something out of him, I think that there's some tools there that can make him a decent rotational player in the NFL. If he takes that next step with this pass rush, you really have something here. You have not only a guy that can be a rotational value, he can actually be a starter. So it is really all about that developmental talent. And I think the Chiefs took a guy like K-Pass with that hope that he was going to be something more than he was. And they took him like in the second or third round on day 2. And he was a day 3 guy. And I think that if we would have seen K-Pass taken in day 3, seen what we got out of him, especially closer to the end when the coaching staff actually got a hold of him, the one that we're seeing now, and molded him, he was a much better run defender. I think that those pass rush instincts just did not click with him. And that's just kind of how it is. Maybe he has a better shot in New Orleans. I believe that's where he is now. So I hope best for him. But again, expectations for day 3 guys really need to be as low as they can be, because not all of them work out. In fact, most of them don't. They end up being special teams guys and end up moving around a lot in the league. So as much as I love a guy like Cornell Powell, who I think has a lot of translatable traits, it's got to get onto the field, and we have to really see it at the NFL level to evaluate it. You can't just look at a tape, some college tape of a day 3 guy and say, yeah, he's not going to get a second contract, because we don't really know. As much as I'd like to say that Powell will come into this offense and Kendo will come into this defense and they're going to be like starters and contributors right away, it's not likely. And if it is, then that just speaks to the coaching staff. So I want to just kind of try to temper everyone's expectations down a little bit. And at the same time, you can definitely get excited about players. Like, excitement's one thing. I think expectations are completely different. And sometimes we have the exact same level of both, and it doesn't really work out. So one guy that, like I said, Trey Smith is it's a whole different topic. I think he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber right guard in the NFL. I truly believe that. So I hope you guys have a great day. Like this, again, I wasn't even in the mood to really get into this, but that one tweet that I saw about Julio Jones and Tyreek Matthew really got me going. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'm going to do everything I can to work through the week, make a nice list of things that we can really rant about. And if you guys, like yourself, if you have something that you see that you really think is either dumb, idiotic, stupid, any opinions that you see that you would love torn down, please send them to me on Twitter at InHarmsWay19 or in the comment section below. Make sure you guys are liking, subbing, hitting that bell notification, because Ryan and I, now Seth, we're adding a bunch of people to this, and we're really starting to crank out some content. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more, and subscribe to RGR Football.